In plain sight, Lorus, I've only come up with a watch us Seiko fans have been wanting for like ever. Let's get into it! Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. For those of you that don't know, the brand Lorus are owned by Seiko, yes. And we're not talking owned as in like Seiko are owned by the Epson Group, like Orient. Two separate watch companies. Oh no. So if you're buying a Lorus, you're buying a Seiko, alright? And for anyone that's a little bit sad or downbeat about the fact that Seiko are no longer the brand they used to be in terms of value for money, well, the new Seiko is Lorus. Anyway, as I do on a constant daily basis, I was checking out Amazon for any good Seiko deals, and I stumbled across a Lorus where I thought, hang on, it didn't half look like a watch all of us Seiko fans have been wanting Seiko to make. Anyway, it was £122, I clicked buy, and for anyone looking to buy their first mechanical automatic watch with 100 meters of water resistance, this might be a great watch for you. So the suspense is killing you, right? Let's see what this Lorus is all about, and at the end we'll tell you what my wife thought about it. Oh, and one more thing, I'm gonna give this watch away at the end. Are you Lorus Seiko ready? Let's go. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, I give you the RL44 7BX9.
Looks a little familiar.
For any of you Seiko fanatic fans out there, you'll know what this looks like straight away. For those of you that aren't, let's keep it going, shall we? This is a very nice looking watch, and on first impressions, built really well. I'm always a sucker for a watch with a Pepsi bezel, and every now and then I do like a sunburst dial. This watch definitely does have a distinctive Seiko case look about it, so much so it should just say Seiko instead of Lorus. It's got that cushion style tonneau case shape, radial brushing on the top of the case, polishing everywhere else. It's definitely not a small boy, not usually the type of size I go for, but the proportions are pretty good and the overall design just works well. That coupled with the fact we've got a Jubilee bracelet just enters that sort of vintage vibe, as well as that almost champagne sunburst dial. There are definite vintage Seiko nods here. Now you can get this watch in all blue, all black, and all green. Yeah. For me personally, I think this one looks the best. And first impressions, you know, it's a decent watch. Quick spec check! The diameter of this watch is 43 millimeters. Now this is a big 43 millimeters because the dial is so big. It's definitely going to have some wrist presence. The great number for us small wristers is 46 millimeters lug to lug. These lugs are tiny, plus they slightly slope downwards. We've got a thickness of 12.4 millimeters. For a very affordable watch, that's a pretty darn good thickness considering this watch is 100 meters water resistant. Anyway, the final dimensions, 22 millimeters lug width. Yes, this watch has quite some size to it. We've got a flat mineral crystal protecting the dial. At this price range, that's acceptable, although it would look cool with an acrylic dome, wouldn't it? The crown is not screw in. We do have a screw in case back as well though, and it does have an exhibition to it. And it just goes to show, when you buy a big watch, just have a look what movement you do have in your watch, because if it is only under 30 millimeters, it just makes you think of how much wasted added space there is in that case. It's a stainless steel bezel with an aluminium insert. The bezel doesn't turn, but it gives you 5-minute increments from 0 to 15 being red.
Just for show, really.
But I do like the way that red and blue complements with the dial colour. Onto the bracelet, well listen, you're paying £120. It's Jubilee and it's jingly jangly. There's a lot of bend to it, but there was a lot of bend with my SKX 013. The clasp is better than my SKX's. The clasp is stamped, but there are some holes there. It's not boring looking, and I've seen a lot worse. Also, to have such a small clasp that gives you 3 micro adjusts, at this price it's a bonus. Okay, let's look at the face.
Dial time.
So first of all, the dial colour. A silvery, golden, warm, sort of champagne-y colour. Not your expensive champagne, your supermarket champagne, you know what I mean? No, your corner shop champagne. The markers, they look a bit weird. I don't know if they're applied or they're stickers, but they are white with silver side frames. I like the little printed blocks in between those indices. What I do love in my Seikos though is a good rehalt or a chapter ring, you know? Literally, as soon as your eyes go past the bezel insert, you drop down into the dial and it makes the dial look quite big. Anyway, we've got a nice framed day and date. Everything else is printed on the dial. The handset looks well finished. Sword style with a red seconds hand and lollipop. I like that. That red matches the red on the bezel insert. A nice little touch. All in all, a lovely dial that is a rehalt or chapter ring away from being superb.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Right, this is the weird part of this watch. I'm not going to tell you where there is lume at the minute, but out of 10, let's see how much this puppy glows. Is that weird or is it me? The markers are not lumed. They're bright and white, but it's only the handset that has lume on it. Okay, on to something else interesting. The movement. Powering this puppy is an in-house Y676 movement. 21 joules, beating away at 21,600 beats per hour. It's automatic. It's got around 40-hour power reserve. But the interesting thing is it's basically a 7S26. Yes, the older Seiko 5 movement. That's the same movement in my SKX. That's the same movement in my Landshark. It's a solid workhorse that is not going to let you down for some time. And if it does after 3 to 4 years, you can just say, you done well, mate. And just buy another watch. The movement does not hack or hand wind. Very easy to use though. These watches are designed to just set and just wear for the rest of your life. You won't have to twist or twiddle it anymore, so long as you use it.
Hello.
On my 6.5-inch wrist, and yeah, this is a little bit big for me. I don't like seeing big dials on my wrist, because it makes me feel like, I don't know, I'm 11 again and I want to try on my granddad's or my dad's watch. Sink this down to 40 millimeters, give us a lovely little sloping chapter ring, and this watch is an absolute winner. I haven't sized the Jubilee. That's because I'm going to give it away to you guys, find out how later. The way this watch head sits on my wrist, it's lovely. It's comfortable. I can definitely see this being someone's daily watch, that's for sure. So there we go, a very cool Lorus watch that looks like a pretty famous Seiko. Now before I tell you what that watch is, let's give you some of these. Well, first of all, the look. I love the look. The layout of the dial, the colour of the dial, the colour of the bezel, the jingly jangly bracelet, the case shape. These are all win-wins for me. I would be very proud wearing this on my wrist on any occasion. I'd also be really interested to see how this watch looks on a leather strap, a rubber strap, even a NATO. I think this watch can be a definite strapaholic. Negatives, well, it's only my preference, but it's a bit too big. You shrink this watch down to 40 millimeters, then it's very hard to have a go at it. Apart from the markers, I mean, what are they all about? They look like they should have lume on them.
But they don't.
I mean, surely it doesn't cost a lot of money just to slap on 12 markers with lume on it, even if the lume is rubbish. That's a weird one. So is this Lorus a winner or a binner? I think it's definitely a winner. £120 for a disguised Seiko with basically a Seiko movement inside, which looks a lot like a famous Seiko of the old days. Definite winner. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the unveiling. The case shape and design is exactly the same as the Pogue. Yes, the 6139. A very famous Seiko for being the first marketed automatic chronograph. This watch first came out in 1969 and in 2024 it's 55 years old. Now what we have to say to ourselves, are Seiko doing a bit of a Rolex? We all know that the brand that tests out materials and designs are Tudor, the smaller brother, and if they're popular, Rolex use them as a crash test dummy. Have Seiko secretly brought out a Pogue case to see what people's thoughts are? see whether it sells. Have they purposely made this case just a little bit too big so that when the actual reissued Pogues come out, this affordable version is not going to steal the show? Now, yes, this watch is not a chronograph. It doesn't have an inner rotating bezel, but it shows me and you that Seiko are making these cases. So can we expect a Pogue reissue in the near future? Well, after seeing and handling this watch, I think there's no doubt about it. This Lorus Pogue, which we have to call it the Lorus Pogue, is a very attractive proposition in 2024. Here lies the value in Seiko disguised as Lorus. Here it is, my wife's thoughts on the fantastic Lorus Pogue. This is very dull. It also looks very sterile, like it should be on the wall of a school or a hospital. It's also given me protractor vibes we had at school. I don't like it, and the bracelet looks like something an old man would wear. So there we go. The wife doesn't like the Lorus that much, but you know, there you go. Right, your chance to win this watch. All you've got to do is subscribe to the Mad Watch Collector channel, follow the Mad Watch Collector Instagram, and leave a comment on this show. Be nice! Yeah, obviously, I'm not going to give you a watch if you're nasty. Keep an eye on the community post of the channel because I will announce the winner within 5 to 6 days of this watch show being released. Good luck to all! Thank you so much for watching till the end. Click there if you want a bit more of the Mad Watch Collector and join. Click a bit further down if you want merch, but if I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you click this one? Oh God, this is pretty good, isn't it, eh? You're gonna go wild for this one. This one's very good. Go on, click it. You know you want to. Go on, click it, click it, click it.